Hello and welcome. We're delighted to have you to today's U Online webinar. You're all very welcome to hear about learn online to lead and innovate in education. So today we're focusing on the two programs, the Masters in Applied Learning Sciences and the doctoral program also in Applied Learning Sciences. And we're delighted to welcome Dr. Shen. Thanks very much for joining us today, Dr. Shen.
Good morning.
So, just getting on to the agenda, what you can expect us to cover today. We will be, of course, hearing about Dr. Shen's background and how he has come to develop these programs, and we'll also be talking about the program in more depth and getting a greater overview of what you can expect if you enroll in the program, and also what learning outcomes you can expect as a result and the career opportunities that can lead to, which are very exciting. These programs in particular have unique features which we also would like to highlight, and we'll also look and talk about the University of Miami's faculty who, of course, have great expertise and a background in this particular field. And Dr. Shen is going to So, without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Dr. Shen. He is an associate professor in STEM education. So, Dr. Shen, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure, yes. My background is actually content. I have a PhD in physics, and I work as a post at UC Berkeley doing technology-enhanced STEM education. And then over the years, I've been working on the field of educational technology, designing new learning environments, and of course, researching how students learn in these environments. And my work has been supported by the National Science Foundation.
Sorry, it's being supported by
the U.S. National Science Foundation.
Excellent, that's great. And looking at the program specifically, were you involved in the development of the programs from their very concept to their recent launch?
Yes, I've been involved from the very beginning, and my colleague, Dr. Walter Cicada, who's Associate Dean of the school, who's really driving this program, but I have been involved from the very beginning.
Excellent. So what can online students expect to get from what type of learning outcomes can an online student expect to get from the Masters of Education and the Doctor of Education in Applied Learning Sciences?
Well, you can tell a little bit from the title, so it's applied and also learning sciences. So the purpose is really to use the latest advancements of the field of learning sciences, and that we've learned a lot about how people learn, and then expand it, apply it in real-world settings. So that's sort of overarching theme of both programs. And for instance, our courses are designed in general to cover three main areas, as you can see on the slide. The first area is about learning. So there have been many different learning theories, perspectives, approaches, in different settings. So some courses are specifically designed to cover that area. And also we really emphasize the aspect of design. And this is really a spirit from engineering. So you need to not just learn about the theories, but really develop, innovate, right? Create new learning environments in different kinds of settings, including formal schooling, but also informal educational settings, as well as different workspaces. And then the third area is basically assessment and or research. So you need to make sure your design is effective, right? How do you know? You do assessment and you do evaluation and you conduct research to find out. So we also have coursework that cover this area. We have both qualitative as well as quantitative methods courses to help our students to gain knowledge and skills to conduct empirical studies. So those areas of coursework basically, I think, pave the road for our students to then conduct a capstone final project in both degree programs. The difference between the two, the master's and the EDD, of course, is the depth and amount of, for example, coursework and the depth of their final project. For the master's degree, we require basically one project, one seminar course. And so that students will apply what they've learned in the program to conduct a study in their own workspace. And then in the EDD, in the doctoral program, we ask students to come back to do the second iteration, sort of another cycle of the project, because based on what they will learn, they need to come back to revise, to think about ways to improve their first project and to make it better. So that's sort of two iterations. But the spirit is the same. Apply these new learning perspectives, theories, what they've learned in developing new learning environments, and then find out if that works.
Great. And I should also mention that we will have a Q&A session at the end. So please, if you have any questions or they come to mind during this webinar, please don't hesitate to type them into the questions box and we'll be able to field them to Dr. Shen. But in the meantime, Dr. Shen, what type of student enrolls on the master's or the doctoral program? What background, what type of backgrounds are they from? Are they purely educational backgrounds or does it vary?
And I think it varies. For specific information, you can go to our U Online website to check for the admission requirements. But on the other hand, because the program is designed for both traditional and non-traditional learning environments, covering formal schooling, but also like informal settings, like museums, like community centers, those who work in different organizations, nonprofit educational organizations, and also the industry, commercial sectors, like people, they have to say train their staff members, and we believe our programs will help them to either develop or implement better training programs. So having said that, so we expect to see our students coming from really diverse, different backgrounds.
Yeah. And I'm guessing that they can expect to really gain skills that will make them top of their game, really, in whatever workplace they find themselves in with that type of new knowledge. Now, our programs, they have unique features which perhaps you'd like to go through for us.
Sure, yes. So I mentioned the capstone project, and
Yes.
that's in a way analogous to a master's thesis or a doctoral dissertation, but we don't really ask for a traditional type of thesis or dissertation that has a lot of writing and theoretical perspectives. We want really a applied project, which means you have to go to a site, a workspace, or educational setting, and run your project. And then actually, you're also encouraged to work in a small team as opposed to individually, for traditional thesis or dissertation. And when you finish, of course, you need to write up, who did what, but also a summary of your work. And then you can communicate your project in different modes, say using multimedia to present your project as opposed to, again, traditional text-based dissertation. So that is the capstone project. Shall I continue to talk about other features?
Yeah, no, I just thought that the way that you said that could also submit your project using different forms of media, like so basically it doesn't have to be all written.
Yes, correct. And also, in a way, similar to the format, we also allow students to submit in different languages. So that's another feature of the capstone project. Instead of just writing in English, and some of our students might feel more comfortable and makes more sense to write their work in their native language if the work is done in another language, right? The site, is at another location. So, of course, I mean, we have our limitations, as you can see on the slide. Those are the languages we are currently supporting.
Okay.
And another feature, like I just mentioned, for the capstone project, we expect students to collaborate, work in small teams, which means our program, our coursework, we're building a lot of opportunities for students to not just apply, but also collaborate with their peers. This is very important because think about we expect our students coming from very different backgrounds with different kinds of experience. So we believe that will bring a lot of interesting learning opportunities that they can learn from their peers.
I can imagine. And how does it work? Like, how does a group project work? How do you work with your classmates online?
Yep, that's a good question. So on throughout the coursework, we were building a lot of those sort of team projects for each course and activities that we ask them to, work with another student or in a small team on a small project, so that they are able to get more acquainted with their peers throughout the program. And then, of course, I mean, it depends on their interest, depends on their location, depending on many factors. So the teams may change over time, but we will really provide ample opportunities for them to work with each other, to collaborate. And for the coursework, we will also building on top of asynchronous, activities. We will have synchronous activities as well.
Great. So questions are coming in, which is great to see. Thanks everybody for sharing your thoughts. I have a question from Leith. I know we will save more questions for the end, but just because it's relevant to what we've just been talking about, how much collaboration or group work is expected on the program?
It's really hard to define in a quantitative way. Actually, although I emphasize collaborative work, but we also allow students to conduct their, say, capstone project individually. So having said that, it also may vary from course to course. But what I'm trying to say is we will provide a lot of those opportunities and encourage students to work collaboratively. And we probably will have assignments that require students to work with others because, again, we believe those are great learning opportunities. But it's very difficult to quantify how much. I think we will strike a balance between individual work versus collaborative work.
And it sounds like you're very receptive to the learner's needs and tailoring learning towards what their desired outcomes are.
Yep, that's a goal. And we will have a team of faculty members to supervise, to give advice and assist students learning along the way.
Okay. And in terms of the differences between the master's program and the doctoral program, what are those?
Well, like I said, it's really depth of work in terms of, say, coursework. One is 30 credit, the other one is 60 credit. And for the capstone project, the master's, it's a one project basically, but for the doctoral, it's basically 2 cycles. So you can think of it as a 2 projects, but it's really, one project is 2 cycles. That's how we conceive it. And then another thing on the slide is this residency requirement. So for the master's, it's 1 week, and for the doctoral, it's 2 1-week residency requirement. So let me elaborate a little bit on that. For the
Yes,
1-week
please do.
residency, it's
Mm-hmm.
really built in for their final project, the capstone project. So for the capstone project, it's a 3 credits for the master's, but students can take it as 3 1-credit classes. And so we conceive that, say, for the first credit, they're just doing planning, right? They it's almost like a dissertation proposal. So they talk with us, they discuss with their team members, and they have a plan. So that's the first credit. And then the next credit is when they actually implement it.
Just in terms of career opportunities, I'm just wondering what type of skills can graduates hope to gain, and what type of careers did those skills equip them for?
Okay, so again, if you look at the slides, we have those, sort of big directions in mind. One is still formal educational settings, including schools, districts, and we expect our students can take jobs in, say, curriculum specialists, instructional designers, in those settings. Those are just some examples, and then in organizations, like professional learning design training and consultants, that kind of roles. And then the third area, which is really uh, um, uh, increasing a lot over the years, is developing new learning products or technologies, or new learning environments. There are a lot of educational technology companies nowadays that are specialized in doing that kind of work.
So it seems that both the master's and the doctoral program are extremely relevant for today, in the sense that uh, you're keeping abreast of advancing technology as well as learning how to develop your own products and work uh, in virtual groups also.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Excellent. Okay, and maybe we're moving on quickly onto faculty, but so one of the great things is that the University of Miami's faculty both instruct online and also on campus. Maybe you could explain a little bit more about their backgrounds and the academic rigor that goes with that.
Sure, yes. And I believe our faculty members are top-notch educators and researchers in our field. And um, for the applied learning sciences, we have experience in both formal educational settings like schools, as well as non-formal settings like museums, informal settings, and we have faculty members who actually have experience in industry. Um, so maybe I can mention a few examples. For example, Dr. Sakata, who's also a core faculty member in the program, who actually was a member of the new NGSS Next Generation Science Standards framework and standards itself. So he was involved in creating the new standards for the United States, actually. And
Wow.
my work has been, supported by the National Science Foundation. studying how using different media in learning STEM knowledge and skills, and in both formal and informal settings. And we have Dr. Kim, who actually has run his own company before, and then went ahead and got his degree in instructional design, and he specialized in using machine learning in designing AI-based learning environments. And those are just some of the examples, and just quickly mention one thing, and you can see it's a very diverse group because we speak different languages and coming from different backgrounds.
Great. And I suppose like you all seem so on top of your field, and and with such a high caliber of faculty, it's must be great for students to know that they can tap into those your networks and the resources and knowledge that you have gained throughout your careers. So, great. I think we're now on to our Q&A session. We don't have that much time left and we have lots of questions to get through. So this will be a kind of quick fire round, shall we say. Okay, let me take a question from Joy. Hi, Joy. Please, can you talk about the learner experience? Is there a cohort? How do you create a sense of community online? Great question.
Yep. So we do run by like cohorts, and like I said, one is our students will take similar courses, not exactly the same, but similar courses. So that will build sort of the common knowledge base. And second, a lot of our courses will have these collaborative peer learning experiences that we hope to build a community. And third, when they start to think about, they do their final project, that's when really the sense of community comes to help, because when they need a work site, and also they need to form groups, and then they again share and learn from each other. And so that's really what we're trying to build, a sense of community. So it's not just like online, you just do those readings and do the coursework and boom, that's it. No.
Wonderful. Yeah, it sounds like a very supportive environment, both in terms of the support that you get from your peers and also from faculty and enrollment support. So it's really great. Okay, we will take another question. Do you envisage professionals working in human resources or organizational learning to be target students for this particular program? I'm not sure if you're talking about the masters or the doctoral, but what do you think, Dr. Shen? HR candidates, are they, would this program suit them?
Yes, we do. And that's one of the main areas. And actually, while we were developing the program, we have actually potential students come up, because the students say run some family business. They want to learn how to better train their employees. And we say, hey, we have this program that's really something you can gain a great deal. And we believe our coursework and the experience in the program will help those those space.
Excellent. Okay, can you talk a little bit more about the discussion boards and how they work?
Oh, the discussion boards.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, that's just a feature of the online, I guess, learning environments, and they're going to use a lot. And it varies from course to course. I mean, each course instructor will have different kinds of assignments. And so, but we all encourage our course instructors to build in these online discussion, thing. One, to really have students to learn from each other. Second, to build this, the sense of community. So, for instance, for my own courses, I will have a big chunk of the assignments that's devoted to have students to post on the online discussion. And so sometimes they need to respond to certain questions. Other times they need to, talk about their own experience in different settings, and or they could use that to ask questions. And so there are many different ways of using that.
Excellent. And I guess it gives students the opportunity to apply their learning and show the results of what they've learned in the discussion forums and on the board on the discussion boards. Okay, another question has come in from Lisa. How much is your program geared towards the working parent? Is the program flexible where deadlines and group work is concerned? Which is a great question.
Yeah, that is a great question. Well, I mean, it's an online program, so I guess the structure, first of all, for the courses are built, like, say, my understanding is each course will take about 7 weeks. So for each week, before the week starts, we'll give you an overview. We'll give you all the assignment. Actually, we'll give you all those things, I mean, from the very beginning. But for each week, you have, specific objectives and assignments for that week. So basically, you have a week to really complete those weekly assignments. And on the other hand, I mean, I guess it's not like, a whole semester. So I would guess in that regard, I mean, you cannot really delay turning in some of the assignments. Say, oh, can I turn in a month, 2 months later? That's probably very difficult.
But I guess you can access the classroom 24 hours a day and
Exactly.
fit your study around your own personal commitments, and
I mean, we
obviously if you
have
have to take the sorry.
a lot of these, recorded videos plus documents online that you can, have access 24/7.
Yeah, and you can look, I suppose access the classroom in your car if you've access to the internet, and you can download the readings, and there's a lot that you can do as a working parent, and you will also, through scheduling your time a little bit more efficiently, find out that you'll actually probably have more time. A lot of students, online students, say that, and a lot of you online students are also parents, so that's something to bear in mind too. Okay, I have one quick question. We should really draw to a close very soon, but it was just, what kind of workspace is required to complete the capstone project? Because obviously we're studying online. How does that work?
Yeah, so it's very open, and it's really case by case. So, I mean, our work is online, but your capstone project, we expect you to find a local community, a space that you have access to. Or, I mean, you work in a team that one of your team members will have an access to a site that you can contribute to. So again, I mean, in terms of spaces, we're talking about formal, informal, or industry, settings. It's really very open. And over the course of the program, we really will discuss with each student what kind of work you wish to accomplish, you want to do, and what resources or sites you have access to. And we will also provide some additional, sites for possible project implementation. So it will be really case by case and individualized.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for asking those questions. They've been really helpful, and I'm sure they'll benefit a lot more people who weren't able to get their questions in. But okay, so admission deadline time, just so that you're aware, the next early decision deadline is the 12th of November, and the classes will start at January 7th in 2019. So you've got lots of time to get your application together. if you haven't started, or you're just at that stage of doing a little bit of research as to what programs you're interested in and what types of modules they offer, get in contact with an enrollment advisor, talk to them, explain your situation. If you're a parent, if you're working in HR, if you're working in a corporate or educational setting, explain all of that to them, and then they will be able to relate the relevance of each module and the skills that you'll learn, and also the career opportunities, because of course we know that you want to get something very solid out of these programs, and an enrollment advisor will be able to explain in exact and unique depth to your situation what you can hope to gain from that. So without further ado, I would like to thank Dr. Shen very, very much for joining us today. And it's been a very enlightening session. And thank you for explaining about the programs in such depth. And we're very excited that they have launched, and they look really fascinating and interesting. And I wish all the online students who are thinking about enrolling all the very best of luck with their studies, and look forward to hearing your stories at graduation.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.